Am I really so undesirable that I can't even get married even if I pay 2 million out of my own pocket? Is there no one out there who wants me? I'm honestly not in it for the money I am willing to pay. Are you all just here to watch the drama unfold? Saying I'm too young to stop trying when I'm only 38?
Do you know to what extent these so-called older single women nowadays are willing to go just to get married? I've seen quite a few examples of this recently, especially with a few typical cases. To successfully tie the knot, they're even willing to pay out of their own pockets. And the result? Even with all that, no one's interested.
At 35, am I really unwanted? I'm starting to panic. So, I've decided to become the queen of hustle among older single women. I'm willing to give up my house and car, forgo a dowry, and even offer the groom's side 50,000 yuan as a bride price. If we have a happy married life, I'd be fine adding your name to the deeds of my 2 properties, and you can drive my car too. That's not all. If we get married, I don't need a lavish wedding banquet, expensive jewelry like the 3 golds or 5 golds, or even wedding photos. As long as we feel right for each other, a simple marriage certificate will do. To show my sincerity, I can provide my property deeds, personal credit report, and health checkup results. If needed, I'd even disclose my KFC records publicly. After marriage, I'd also support doing a paternity test. Everyone, please give me some advice. What are some even more hustle-hard ways to go about this?
I'm 35. Am I really going to end up unmarriageable? Am I that bad? Are all older single women nowadays this hustle crazy? Someone else willing to give up a house and a car just to get married and even offer the guy's side 50,000 yuan as a bride price. And there is even someone upping it to 100,000 yuan plus the 3 golds and 5 golds. Meanwhile, these men all seem to have houses, cars, and savings, but me. All I've got is a rented place. What do I have to compete with them? Wow, I'm really about to cry. At your 33, unmarried, and childless, you really can't afford to be picky anymore. While 30-something single women are still shouting about wanting hundreds of thousands in dowry, dreaming of a domineering CEO falling for an almost retired auntie, I've heard that post-2000 girls have already stormed the marriage market. For them, a dowry of 30,000 yuan is the max, and they're proudly waving the flag of low-cost weddings. Older single women are truly getting praised and hit from all angles.
Lately, the number of these pay-to-marry women has been growing. Not only do they not ask for a dowry, but the women are even willing to shell out money themselves. Why is this happening? There are 2 main reasons. First, reality has dealt them a harsh blow. At a matchmaking event in Tianjin, China, there were 9 women for every 1 man. Men are simply in short supply. And then there was that massive blind date event in Hangzhou, China, with thousands of participants. Everyone knows how it went. Thousands of women showed up, but you could barely spot a single man. The specific reasons are clear to everyone. In the past couple of years, after cases of marriage scams by women, men have suddenly woken up. We want to dive into the gritty details here. In short, when it comes to real-life matchmaking events, men basically don't want to participate anymore.
I'm a 34-year-old single woman, and now that I want to get married, not only am I not asking for a dowry, but I'm also willing to throw in a house and a car. I wonder if this will be enough to successfully get me married off.
It really feels so tough. If I still can't get married, I'm even thinking about putting up 380,000 yuan as a dowry to marry a man. I'm sure a lot of people doubt I even have that kind of money. Don't doubt it. I really don't have it right now. But I could take out a loan for the dowry. After we're married, we can pay it off together since we be family. There's no need to fuss over little details like that, right?
Some gals have privately messaged me saying that not asking for a dowry makes me cheap goods, and offering a dowry myself makes me a money-losing deal. Sisters, our situations are different. You are young, beautiful, and in great shape. Guys chasing you could line up all the way to France. But me? I'm almost 35. If I don't put up a few 100,000 yuan to marry a man, I might really end up alone for the rest of my life.
Recently, an even more hustle-hard older single woman has popped up. Now they've escalated to offering a dowry of 188,000 yuan to a guy just to marry a virtuous man and bring him home. The dowry can't go to his parents, it has to stay in their little family. Plus, she'd give him an extra 2,000 yuan a month as pocket money. He wouldn't need to work, but after marriage, he'd have to take care of her parents. There are also requirements for the guy's height, preferably over 1.8 meters, and he should love fitness, not smoke, not drink, and not mess around. That way, he'd be a source of pride when shown off and reassuring to bring home. Brothers, a woman willing to give you a 188,000 yuan dowry plus monthly pocket money, could you accept that?
The number of single leftover women in China has surpassed 2 million. Among them, 800,000 are high-quality single women over 35. Even if these women offer a dowry, no one wants them, and they're highly likely to end up alone for life. You'd never guess, right? Because they all share the following traits. They earn enough to support themselves but can't afford to buy a house. They've dated plenty of so-called high-quality successful men, but none of those relationships worked out. They maintain a relatively high quality of life and hold a better none than settle attitude toward marriage. This type of woman is destined to struggle to find a partner. Here in China, an outstanding and successful guy with average conditions wouldn't even consider a 35-year-old woman. To them, even 28-year-olds seem too old. For guys from well-off families, their parents are even less likely to approve. And for us matchmakers, when recommending partners to these men, we mostly prioritize women under 26, younger girls from Shenzhen, for instance. That's just how realistic and harsh China's marriage market is. Older single women are really hustling hard. No car, no house, no dowry, no wedding banquet, even offering a dowry themselves, and still, no one wants them. Just a few days ago, at one of our matchmaking events, there was a female participant like this. She's 35, unmarried, dressed impeccably with makeup, and exuded a refined air. Judging by her appearance alone, she still looked relatively youthful. But standing next to a group of 20-something girls, the age gap was glaringly obvious. She said she's 35 this year and doesn't need a car, house, dowry, or banquet. All she asks is that the man has good character, decent values, good health, and a stable job. When her age wasn't mentioned, several guys did show interest. But as soon as they heard her real age, they all went silent. One divorced guy initially said he'd like to get to know her better, but she turned him down, saying she still wanted someone who'd never been married. Later, she spotted a guy at the event she liked and asked us to check his interest. We went to talk to him, and he flat out refused. His reason? She's too old. He said even if she doesn't want a dowry and is willing to pay one, it's meaningless. He even added, she's past her prime, marrying her might mean she can't even have kids. Someone that old who is still unmarried must have something wrong with her. Either she is too picky or her personality is weird. I'd just be bringing home a burden to suffer with. Then he turned the question back on us, am I right or not? So, tell me, what do you think? Is he right or not?
Once a woman passes 35, even if she offers a dowry, is it true that no one wants her? Let me tell you something even more heartbreaking. A friend of mine was chatting with me a couple of days ago, saying that when he went home for the new year this year, not a single person in his family urged him to get married anymore. Only his mom was still anxious and reluctantly found a few matchmakers. But forget about not asking for a dowry. Even if he offered one, they wouldn't bother introducing him to anyone. The reason? He's 35 and people are worried his age might affect his fertility. He said compared to his 20s, when matchmakers were lining up one after another to propose matches, the current situation feels like a bitter pill to swallow. But there's nothing he can do about it. He doesn't dare delay any longer, so he came to me, begging me to help him find someone. It's just so heartbreaking.
How intense has the matchmaking market in Jiangxi, China, become? The girls are starting to panic. Mothers-in-law to be aren't just foregoing dowries, they are even proactively offering houses and cars, all in the hope of finding a suitable match for their daughters. I've actually met a lot of female friends who've made it clear they don't need a dowry, or even a house or car because they already have those themselves. On top of that, their parents assure the groom's side that after marriage, not only will no dowry be required from the man, but they'll even throw in a house and offer to help raise the kids. So why are these women still single? Ironically, it's often women like this who end up as so-called leftover women. They tend to share a common trait: they're highly educated, with good personal and family circumstances. But it's precisely these women who find it hardest to land a suitable partner. Why? Because men with good conditions have long since left the matchmaking pool. You might like them, but they don't like you back. So what can us older single women do? Young, quality men don't show up to matchmaking events, and slightly older men with decent conditions are already married with kids.
Brothers, these older single women are seriously hustling hard. From what I know, this hustle of theirs didn't start just a day or two ago. Oh yeah, the involution now is layer upon layer of crazy competition. Don't you guys want to be the next meat stuffed pancake caught in the middle? One after another, they're all just full of hot air, especially those few representative older single women. They're useless at everything except running their mouths like champs. One minute they say they want to get married, the next they're saying they want a husband, and then they start peddling fertility anxiety. These tired old tricks, I'm sick of hearing them. My ears have practically calloused over. Oh man, my ears are about to wear out. If even one of these older single women genuinely wanted to marry, would the term leftover women even exist? They'd have gotten married and had kids ages ago. Their kids would probably be old enough to buy soy sauce by now, right? It's all nonsense, just endless blabbering. Honest folks are just too naive. Some older single woman comes along, wipes away a couple of tears, and you actually believe her? Oh, maybe she really does want to get married. Should we give her a chance? Oh boy. Go ahead and approach her, try confessing your feelings to her. She'll absolutely come up with a million excuses to brush you off, a million reasons to reject you. Go on, if you don't believe me, try it yourself. Pick any representative older single woman you think fits the bill and give it a shot. See if you don't end up regretting it so much your guts turn green. Oh, let us see if you don't end up with a crooked mouth from the frustration.
I really can't wrap my head around this. Why is it that when we're all in our 30s, a guy not being married and a girl not being married somehow turns into them looking down on older single women for being old? We're all in our 30s, sure, I'm old, but aren't they old too? Actually, a lot of men don't get it either. When you're both in your 20s, you don't have money, and he doesn't have money, so how come you look down on him for being poor? When we're all in our 20s, why is it that a guy having a car, a house, and savings is treated like it's only natural? Money is as harsh to men as age is to women. Older single women in Hangzhou, China, are getting more and more anxious these days. They've realized that the speed at which they're willing to compromise can't keep up with the speed at which they're depreciating. Today, at the matchmaking corner, I met a woman born in 1987 who told me exactly that. She said she's been on blind dates with nearly 30 guys, and even though she's lowered her standards again and again, she still keeps getting rejected. Thinking back to when she first graduated, she was all about her career, rejecting every guy who pursued her. After 5 years of hard work, she finally climbed to a senior position at her company, but by then, she was 29. Friends around her started telling her it was time to think about marriage. She always felt her conditions were pretty good, though, so why couldn't she find a guy with decent prospects? If he didn't have a car, a house, a local Hangzhou huku, or a salary of at least 500,000 yuan a year, how could he possibly be worthy of her? Even if a guy's conditions were barely acceptable, she'd still want to test his sincerity thoroughly. And just like that, she blinked and found herself in her mid-30s. Suddenly, no one was pursuing her anymore, and no one was setting her up with anyone either. Even on blind dates, most of the guys she was introduced to were divorced. That's when she started to panic. She began taking the initiative to go on dates herself, but even when she lowered her standards as far as she could, the guys still rejected her, saying she was too old and worrying she might not be able to have kids easily. Later on, she had no choice but to start meeting divorced men or those who'd been briefly married with no kids. It was only then that she realized she could no longer turn back the clock.
Older single women are a lot like China's South real estate market right now. Some people think that with 30 million single men in China and a demand for marriage, single women can keep raising their standards and price tags. But that's just not realistic. In the end, it might crash hard, like a bursting housing bubble. With 100 million single women in China now, the situation could very well mirror the current real estate market, and the outcome doesn't look promising. Those who could take over don't want to, and those who want to take over don't have the means. On the surface, the housing and marriage markets seem bustling, but underneath, they're cold and quiet. Houses that can't sell at least have the government to bail them out, but if single women can't marry, there's really no one to take over for them.
Today's men have seen through reality and are no longer bound by traditional views of marriage. Instead, they choose to rationally and independently plan their own lives. Meanwhile, those older women who once held themselves in high regard now find that they are no longer the ones being pursued, but rather, they are becoming increasingly undervalued. In the past, they were picky and choosy, but now they realize that truly valuable men have awakened and are no longer willing to foot the bill for a relationship of uncertain duration. Finally, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my video, please consider subscribing. I will continue to release high-quality content. Thank you for your support.